What you should do instead of fighting your woman. Do you feel exhausted from constantly arguing with women? For years, this was a struggle in my life until I discovered a better way to handle it. I have learnt from men who are more successful and influential than me, and they all made one critical mistake: trying to use logic and reason to resolve disagreements with women. Here's the problem. Women are emotionally driven, and logic alone won't cut it. When you lose an argument, it's frustrating because emotions outweigh reason. But even if you win, you still lose because the logic often disregards how they feel. This dynamic can make every disagreement a losing game. So I stopped fighting with women altogether. Let me share my approach, which has transformed my relationships. Before we proceed, kindly find the subscribe button and subscribe to help this channel. Now, let's proceed. But first, let's look at some common but flawed strategies I've seen. The authoritarian stance. Some men refuse to argue entirely, treating women like children and shutting down the conversation. The endless negotiator. Others try to mediate and hash out every little thing, even trivial matters like organizing a drawer. Both approaches fail to address the real issue. The key isn't to suppress disagreements or negotiate endlessly, it's to handle them effectively. What's the solution? Don't engage in arguments. Here's why. Some women thrive on emotional conflict, often unconsciously. There's a concept called manufactured indignation, which suggests that when there's no drama, people sometimes create it to feel a sense of connection or importance. Women, in particular, might stir up disagreements if they feel you're distant or emotionally unavailable. Here's my system for handling disagreements. For new relationships, simply don't engage in arguments. There's no need for an announcement. Just stay calm and avoid getting drawn into conflict. For established relationships, you'll need to set boundaries. Clearly explain, "We're not going to argue anymore." This doesn't mean you're avoiding important discussions or being passive. It means you're refusing to participate in emotional conflict that goes nowhere. When conflict arises, I use what I call the yellow card/red card method, a concept borrowed from sports. A yellow card is a warning. If she begins to argue or becomes overly emotional, simply say, "Yellow card," and continue with what you're doing. Most of the time, this alone is enough to set a boundary and diffuse the situation. If she persists, disengage. Leave the room, move to another space, and don't feed into the argument. This approach prevents you from rolling in the mud. There's an old saying, "Never wrestle with a pig." You both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it. Engaging in pointless arguments only fuels unnecessary drama. If the behavior continues despite the yellow card, escalate to a red card phase. In sports, a red card removes a player from the game. In relationships, it means removing your presence and attention. A soft red card involves cutting off communication for a few days, typically 2 to 4. Women value attention and validation, so withdrawing these resources sends a strong message. A hard red card means creating physical distance. If she's at your house, ask her to leave. If you're at her place, leave yourself. Living together makes this trickier. If you frequently find yourself leaving your own home to avoid conflict, it's a sign of deeper issues in the relationship. Ask yourself, why am I tolerating this kind of behavior? For long-term relationships, the key is clear communication. Sit down and say, "We're not arguing anymore. I won't engage in repetitive, unproductive conflicts." This boundary allows you to stay focused on meaningful discussions and eliminates the cycle of emotional drama. This approach isn't about avoiding responsibility or being passive. It's about staying calm, grounded, and refusing to be pulled into unnecessary emotional battles. If your partner respects this boundary, your relationship will improve. If she doesn't, It's worth considering whether she's the right fit for you. Ultimately, life is too short to waste on constant arguments and negativity. You deserve a relationship that's supportive and drama-free. I hope this advice helps you as much as it's helped me. For more insights, check out my other videos and resources to level up your life. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe.